I got first introduced to the pirate graveyard when I first came into the kitchen. On one of the stations on a wall were these little pieces of tape that were ripped and tombstones were drawn on them. And chef told me, anyone someone left, they'd have their names written on, and they got added to it. My name wasn't added to it because the restaurant shut down before I could quit. But I suppose in spirit, I definitely have quite a few people in my little personal graveyard. I really just include everyone that I've ever worked with that I really connected to. When you go into work, right? I would say for the most part, it's just standards people you're just gonna see. You're very cordial and you're friendly with people. You chit chat and stuff like that. But every once in a while, you'll meet up with someone. Someone will come and work. You'll go in the kitchen, and there's gonna be it's usually like one or two people that really make working there a pleasure. It's always that one random shift, maybe a PM shift on a Wednesday, has the right people. You're working, got person on your left, the person on the right, and it's just, it's perfect synergy. I remember in the second kitchen I worked in, I was working the pantry. I was starting to learn grill, and we started to get new people in. And there were two guys there that I worked with. One guy was named Sai. The other one was Jesus. And I think we worked 4 days out of the week together. But Sai would always call us the Three Amigos. Because it didn't matter what was going to happen. It didn't matter if it was a party. It didn't matter if it was crazy. When you saw those three names on the schedule, when I saw those two other names on the schedule, it was going to be a good time. Don't stress out too much. Just do the best you can. I know that, that the people you're going to be working with are going to be a good time. They're not going to stress you out. They're going to do what they're supposed to do. They're going to help you when you need the help. And it's perfect, It was in that restaurant where we began doing this thing where once a month we would just go out, usually around payday. That's how we ate, because it was a combination of people going to school. Some of us had families and some of us were single but still had the bills. So our once a month usually was maybe the beginning of the month or the middle of the month. After we paid rent, the next check after that, we'd go out and we'd have a lot of fun. And that idea came from Sai. He said the first day he was there, he was asking do we go out? And I was new. It was only my second kitchen. And I said, we go out once a year. There's a company party. And he's like, fuck that. No, that's not what I'm talking about. It's like, do you guys go out? And he was telling me how he had a chef who would tell his new guys, you need to go and talk to the line. You need to go out and have drinks with the line. It's so important to create a rapport with the people that you're going to be working with, especially when you work in a kitchen. You're in a tight space. You're with these people for an extended period of time. Imagine being with someone. Imagine being with someone in an elevator. That's the best way I'd describe it. Are you really? Yes. You could definitely be in the elevator with someone for up to 7 hours, 10 hours at a time, and not say a word to them. That's great, but that's not the way you want to approach things. You want to build these relationships. One of the reasons that I like building these relationships was that when I'm messing up, I can get called out on, and it doesn't feel weird, and you feel comfortable letting them know, and it makes work that much more enjoyable. Especially, when you don't feel it, it doesn't feel like work. It's great, So once a month we'd all go out, and it was joy. So yeah, has Jesus and Sai, and who else was there? Seth was a cool dude. He was I guess I would just describe him as almost like this Rasta guy. He was always talking about music. Him and I really connected on music because he asked me that's how you knew he was into music. He'd want to know he'd ask your name, introduce himself, and then he'd want to know what kind of music you listen to. He loved funk. He loved funk a lot. He loved the bass a lot. He still posts video of just him jamming out in his room playing different instruments. He has guitars, bass, keyboards. I think for a time he was in a reggae band with two other guys. We just vibed, man. We just vibed, and that was a whole different type of relationship, he was an older guy. Him and RC, this other guy, RC, they were maybe in their 50s. I was in my 30s. They were in their 50s. Really funny. Sat talk music. RC just liked really dirty jokes. That's what I remember. RC was a guy that he was a hard worker. You could definitely banter and talk shit with him. That's what RC was great for. Like, just pure raw talking shit. We're not there to talk about life. We're not there to discuss the mysteries of the universe. We're there to talk massive shit and just tell some raunchy ass jokes. That's what he liked. And he was a good worker. And he was the type of worker that came in on time. He got off on time. He did exactly what he needed to do. He took those vacations. You knew when he was taking his vacations a year out, He was with the company 13 years. He was in his groove. He knew what the fuck he needed to do. It's really unfortunate because RC did later, I would say maybe years later, I found out he passed away. It just really sucks, man. He was a good guy. After that, I went on to another hotel restaurant, and there I met this guy, Ronnie. And at about around this time, I would say maybe this was 2017. So I wasn't really going out anymore. I was just mostly focusing on just doing my job and going home and being a good dad and a husband. So my social life really took a massive impact. But Ronnie was cool, man. Ronnie was he got shit done. And he was one of the first kind of people to just sort of show me that things don't need to be like, you don't need to be burning all 6 cylinders to give 100%. You don't have to be burning yourself up from both ends of the candles just to be a really great worker. He was chill. He did what he knew, what was expected, and then he just gave just a little extra. It was great. I think he had gone to school for like business, and then he got a part-time job cooking, and then he liked it, and then that's what he did. And he ended up getting promoted to another hotel where he's now, I think the last I heard, he's the chef there. So good for him, man. But I remember, man, this was in one of those shitty ass kitchens where I met him. He went there for the easy money. I mean, that's what he said. He's like, this isn't the kind of place, where you want to just like give your all. Like they don't deserve to have what you have to give. Just come in, do your job, and get out. Don't stress out too much. Don't worry if things aren't right or wrong. Like, they don't care here. So don't lose sleep over it. Do your best, but don't lose sleep over it, and don't burn yourself, both ends of the candle. It's pretty solid advice, man. At that point, man, I was really locked into like top 50 and Michelin stars. Like, I was really about that shit. Like, that's the kind of stuff I dreamed about. And I remember him telling me those things and me just thinking, like, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. No, I'm not going to let that attitude drag me down. It wasn't bad, and I didn't think it was a bad attitude. I just didn't, it wasn't what I vibed with until I went to the next restaurant, got a dose of it. But you know what? I'm going to say this, I think on totally different subject, but just, I don't think all high-end restaurants are run by douchey people. I think I just had a bad experience. I'd like to think that there's some fine dining places out there that are very chill. You just have to work really hard, and everyone's on the same page. But yeah, that was Ronnie. I went over to the other shitty kitchen for like, I don't know, 5 months. Oh, and you know what? Before that, the very first person I added to the pirate graveyard was my chef, was my mentor Paul. I mean, he was the first guy that put me on. He was the first guy that taught me the ropes. It's funny because what I'm doing with this channel, what I'm doing this, he essentially gave me in like 3 months' time. I started working there. The restaurant opened in May. I started working there in July, and by the November, the restaurant had closed already. But in those few months, he had given me like the foundation, not just the craftsmanship, but it was the first time someone had brought this up. There's the craftsmanship of what you're doing, and then there's the culture in which you're doing it in. And I think that, I think you've noticed that in a lot of these videos. That's kind of where I want your heads to be at. It's not just the skills. You know what? Like I said before, if you want to learn, in my older videos when I used to cook in them, if you want to learn how to make mac and cheese, this channel is not the place to be. There's a million other people that can fucking do that shit better, But to navigate through the culture, there's not a lot of information out there, except a lot of jaded, burnt out cooks. So Paul was the first guy. And then in recent years, who's it been in recent years? I can only think of one guy, Alec. We used to vibe a lot. He had a temper. He was really chill until he'd get a temper. And then he'd just get in cooks' faces. He would call them out for shit. And the thing is, it wasn't anything that I felt was like, oh, okay, don't talk to people like that. Like, I understood who he was coming from. I knew who he was saying it to. And I think he could have approached it in a different way. I was like that at one point. I remember telling someone, actually, you know what? It was the homeboy Omar. I once told him, I need you to suffer in silence. Because the dish pit had broken. Omar was the dish guy. And the dish pit had broken, and he was just like, really, we're an open kitchen. He's just fucking cussing out he's cussing out the machine. He's not mad at anyone. He's just pissed off at the machine. And I told him, I need him to suffer in silence, man. He can't be doing that. Like, chill out, dude. I'll help you out. Just knock that shit off, man. You're a professional. Act like it. And then Aaron kind of mediated. It was really funny. I don't know if Aaron meant to like fuck with me, but he was like, I think what Josue's trying to say is that he needs you to just quietly get the work done. That was really funny, but those are two guys right there. COVID happened, and that was the last time when we shut down the first time. California did. That was the last time I saw Omar. It's just unfortunate. There's a video that I took for Instagram, and it was the 2019 going into 2020. And Omar was not the best dishwasher. Not by a long shot. But he was those kind of people where they're not great, but fuck, man, they really make work so much tolerable. You could go into the dish pit, help him out, and just have a good conversation with him. He'd be there early. And then you just, that's a guy that you could just talk about life. You could talk about memories, compare shit. I really thought that if I, being in the industry and the town we're in, I figured that at some point, he'd go do his own thing, and then we'd come back, and then we'd be like older, wiser guys, just, reminiscing back on the good old days. But unfortunately, he passed sometime in December of 2020, and that just really fucking sucks. That really sucks. His is the only death that I know of, other than one family member. But other than that family member, and, it was the only one that really just, I didn't realize just how much it kind of just bothered me. It shook me, I remember several times, just so many nights just being like late till midnight. One time we got off like at 2 a.m. because the dish machine that we had really sucked. And then you have a dishwasher that was semi-slow and then would get discouraged when the machine would break down. So we'd be there kind of late, and I'd, just sit there and try to cheer him up, motivate him, let him know it's not a big fucking deal, man. At the very least, hey, man, you're getting paid by the hour. And you're hanging out with me. So you're good, dude. And I guess without me realizing it, I was creating a bond with this person. We went out a couple times after work to drink. It's late. There was a pizzeria next door, so it's like, let's just go get a fucking beer. And sometimes, you know what? I'd be a little annoyed at him, and he'd want to go out for a drink. I'd be like, I just want to go home, dude. Like, we didn't have to be out here this late. But all in all, he was a solid dude. And he's someone that's going to be definitely living rent-free in my head for all eternity. When I listen to Whitney Houston's with what's that one Whitney Houston song? Somebody to love me. Oh, I want to dance with somebody. I think that's what it's called, Dance with Somebody. Every time he'd play that shit, you'd be like, R.I.P. Whitney. I miss you, baby girl. So every time I hear that shit, I just think of Omar. But yeah, that's the big homie. Wherever he's at, I hope he's doing well. And then more recently, like last night, man, my guy Aaron, he was called to a better place, to a better kitchen. So I'm very happy. But in recent times, I've just been I've been in this company for 3 years almost. And I've never gone into the place outside of, like, when I'm off. I've never gone in to eat, and I've never made the effort to go out. And even though it's something that I would encourage, because again, going back to what Sai told me, it's just good. It's good rapport. It helps build a bond, and it really strengthens the bond in the kitchen. Working in the industry is more than just clocking in and clocking out. You can make it that, and that's fine. But if you're in it for the long haul and you love what you do, your feelings are going to get in it. Your feelings are going to, become one of those ingredients, and how you vibe with people, how you work with people matters a lot. And in this industry, you may not get blackballed, like no one will let you, can't, it's not like you're going to be unhireable, but for sure there's going to be reputations that follow you. And I know that with some people, I have a really shitty reputation. Some people, I have a great reputation. I'd probably say that for the most part, most people will speak highly of me. There's a few people that for sure I know are just going to talk shit no matter what. There's nothing I can ever do to please them, and that's fine. But I think it's important, and I think I should start nurturing these relationships that I'm building. Not for any gain, because you could definitely think of it like that, like it's good for work, but just for yourself. I mean, I don't care how introverted I say I am. I don't care how much of a shut-in I am. Look, I'm very happy if my life was go to work, and then the rest of the time is just spend time with my wife and kids. Because the way I see work already is that's something that takes away time for me spending time with my kids. I love what I do, but I need to make sure that whatever I'm doing is fucking worth it. Because I could be over here with my family, But no matter what anyone says, no matter what you say, no matter what I say, at the end of the day, we're human beings. And human beings are social creatures, And whether, you want to meet up with friends and just have coffee or drinks, or even have them over and smoke some weed and play some video games, I think I have definitely been neglecting that. And it feels kind of shitty, because it's a lot of these people, man, I really fuck with. A lot of these people I really care about. And sometimes I feel guilty because I care about them. I see them as friends, but when have I ever, asked them to go out for a drink? It's, I'm a work in progress. We're all works in progress, It's going to be a little hard for me. Again, when my focus is just my wife and kids, my conversations dwindle down to what the kids are watching on YouTube, what the kids are learning at school, you know, whatever the fuck is mom and dad talk about, bills, planning vacations, planning grocery store visits, you know. It's definitely much different than what I'm guessing someone that goes out more. Not necessarily without kids, because I know people with kids and they go out. My wife goes out way the fuck more than me. My wife has a healthy social life. I don't. I think I just use my kids and wife to justify in staying in. I think that's some deep shit right there. I use my wife and kids to keep me in the house so I don't have to go out and I don't have to exercise that social muscle. You know, when I go to work, it's like a role. I know exactly the role that I'm going to play and I know exactly how I'm going to banter. But now, how do I take that outside of work? I think I'm using my family as a crutch. That's a great realization I just had now. Fuck. I really got to get out more. Anyway, you're going to meet a lot of people on this journey, and you're going to lose some people along this journey. And on a professional side, you got to build these bonds. It's important. It's going to follow you throughout your whole career, because you're going to work with someone and the impression they're going to, they're going to remember you by how you were. You know, it doesn't matter whether you think you're a chill person, but, they're going to remember you when you're going to see them later, or someone's going to hear of you. And, you want to leave the best impression that you can. And it's good to get to know the people that you're working with. It's great to know when their birthday is. It's great to know what they're drinking. We're all human beings, and so we're all susceptible to the same rules. If someone remembered my birthday, fuck, man, it makes me feel that type of way. Someone remembers, like, oh, I know that you like to drink this. I know that you like this. Wow, okay, Yeah, I've had a few front of house people ask me, like, hey, you want to come out and just hang out? We're all going to go have a cigarette and I don't smoke. And they're like, oh, we just wanted to include you. And see, that's me fucking up a good opportunity. I don't smoke, but I can go and just hang out with them and socialize and exercise that muscle. I don't buy the whole, like, I'm just bad at socializing. It's like, I'm bad at lifting heavy things. So you start off light and then you work out. So maybe I start off light and then I can, that's part of what this whole YouTube thing is, it helps me. Instagram, social media, it kind of helps me, but I think I need to start incorporating it into the real world. So I guess that's a cool little insight right there. I'm in my own journey. I'm not a finished piece. Don't see me as a completed thing. I'm not a chef, guys. I'm just a cook with opinions. But yeah, that's it on a professional level. On a social, it's just good, man. You're a human being. You gotta socialize. You're gonna be spending a lot of time in these kitchens, man. Get to know the people you work with. So let's give some shout outs to some people that I've worked with. And you know what? There's Judd is a guy that just recently left too. He was the front of house manager, and he quit to pursue his streaming and YouTube career goals. But that's what he wants to do. He wants to stream and do YouTube. He does gaming. So I see him around time to time. There's another guy that wants to hang out with me, but I usually, I put my family first. I should definitely call him up, smoke some weed with him and just play some retro games. He's not a bad guy. He's not a bad person. None of these people are. They're all chill. I just, I really love just fucking with just myself. I am at peace being by myself. Truly, truly. But moderation. Please, guys, moderation. Everything in moderation. So, shout out Paul. Shout out Sai. Shout out Jesus. Jesus. Shout out Jesus. Jesus left the industry. He's now an HVAC guy. So, yeah. Sometimes people leave the industry, and that's fucking shitty, too. Shout out Seth. Shout out Aaron. Alec. Ronnie. Judd. Rest in peace, RC, and rest in peace, Omar. That's all I got for you guys today. Have a great service, guys. Peace.
2020 at the Bird. Would you rather be anywhere else?
Fucking blessed as fuck. Cheers. All right, let's get the fuck back to work.